Welcome Motivation Sunday. Welcome Motivation Sunday.
Welcome to another edition of Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. Now, we're going to open up a little bit differently because today we're going to talk about the power of our story. We're going to talk about the power of your voice. We're going to talk about and share with you inspirational stories of people that have come through all of our lives, and some of us personally. We're going to talk about experiences and perspectives. We're going to use the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling, and remembering we did not get to where we are today alone. Someone else paved the way. They made a sacrifice greater than any of us could ever imagine. So this is the end of February, our last show. For most of the country, we're looking at Black History month in the month of February. For most of us that know our history lives 365 days a year. So this is a special tribute to those who have come before us. So each person, instead of bringing a single quote for the show, will bring a quote from someone that has impacted their life to make them who they are today. So, hi, my name is Kevin McLemore. I am your show host. I am joined with my co hosts, PJ, Scott, Anne Marie Maloney, Vanessa Vita, Patrice, Richard, Christopher, and Gilda James, the two lovebirds. All right, my ride and die, Larnez Kenzie, my brother from another mother, Curtis Battles. All right. And then, this show would not be complete without the voice of the show. You're talking about something smooth and silky. He's that sound on the other side of the pillow you want to wake up to every single morning. The voice of our show of Motivational Sundays is Otis Spencer. Hi, my name is Kevin McLemore. And with that said, we're going to share with you, and hopefully you'll share this show with someone important. This is a tribute to who you are. Christopher, let's talk about the person that connected to you.
Great rising, and I'm so glad to be here. When you asked us to go back and look at all the people that have made an impression on us, or that we really feel drawn to, or feel inspired by, I've got a really large basket of beautiful images of people that I admire and try to well, as close as I can, emulate. But I got to say that I just recently had to add about a dozen more people to that list of people that have given me inspiration, and it's all of you, every single one of you. Now, it wouldn't be fair to select from this group. I selected from my larger group of people that have inspired me, and because of my military background, the majority of those people have been other service people. I was really taken by uh, one Air Force General, Chappie James. I thought we were related, but we weren't. But anyway, um, I looked at all these great people, and I found a guy who would probably be on the B side of my hit list or my greatest people list. The guy that always goes to the party, and there's this fabulous new HP or uh, record out, and he plays the B side. I can remember the Stylistics had a great album out or a great single out, and I played the B side. I think it was Country Living. Everybody threw rocks at me and made me leave the turntable. I couldn't touch the record player after that. But anyway, my B side hero was the second black astronaut to go into space, Ronald McNair. And I chose him for a couple of different reasons. One, because I always wanted to be an astronaut. Two, he came from a place where it was his love of what he was doing that kept pushing him, kept channeling him, kept driving him to where he became, well, what he was. He was in the last Challenger crew back in '86. He was one of the astronauts that died in that tragic accident. But what made him special to me was that he took his knowledge of physics um, into Boston's MIT, and he did obtain his doctorate there. But it was funny, he and so often the case where a black man does something great, someone takes it away. His his doctoral thesis was on lasers, and he'd worked for like 2 years on that work, developing his thesis on lasers, and all of his work was stolen. Now, it wasn't just a theft of property. It was, I'm sure somebody took that information and attempted or tried or maybe succeeded in claiming it as their own. But instead of allowing that to stop Ronald, he kept going, and in a year had reproduced all the work that he'd taken the previous 2 years to develop, and got his doctorate in laser sciences. But of course, that's just some of the background. He went under NASA and, of course, became an astronaut and passed away in the Challenger incident. My only real connection with Ronald was, of course, I too was at MIT. I wasn't a graduate. I was working a movie, Good Will Hunting, about 12 years after Ronald got his degree or his doctorate. But the other similarity that I had with Ronald is I can't recall his wife's name, but she was born in Queens, as was Gilda. So that's the other similarity. He and I went to the same place to find our soulmate. But anyway, that's Ronald McNair, doctorate in physics, and the second black astronaut to go into space. And he's my hero.
All right. We all have heroes that we have never met, but they travel with us because we carry their stories with them. So when you carry a story forward, that person never dies. You know,
Exactly.
there's a little boy or a little girl somewhere listening to this podcast and saying, I didn't know we had a black astronaut. And today they now know. And today you may have turned a page to a dream soon to be told. Thank you for that share. And I thank the family of this young astronaut that allowed his legacy to live through you. All right. It's a great loss, but it's a great beginning too. So there's a lot of great stories yet to come, everyone. Otis, you don't get a chance today to go ahead and repeat the quote. But I'm sure that each and every last one of us has a quote that is attached to that individual. And by the way, going back to you, Christopher, is there any particular saying or a belief or purpose this young astronaut had that stuck with you?
It was more of an idea. And it was said by a few others that he didn't just take the idea of so many of us will grab a single thing, a single aspect of our being, and just make that us, or make that our primary goal. It was said before that, well, actually, I made the observation myself that if a black man wants to be prominent or set himself apart. He pursued some athletic, um, vision, or become a basketball star or football great. Um, the amazing thing about Ronald was that he was an excellent athlete, both in football and in basketball. He even had a fifth-degree black belt, okay, in karate. But with all that physicality, he still followed his, I guess, his deepest heart of knowledge of physics. Um, I'm not exactly sure which one of his uh, Challenger rides, but he took his saxophone into space and uh, played his saxophone, in space. So you've got um, blacks who are excellent musicians. You have are people who are absolutely fabulous athletes. You've got Kelly, who is a absolute, phenomenal karate expert. Ronald took all of these, great attributes and decided, well, you know what? My prominent attribute is my brain, is my mind, is my knowledge of physics, and he took that into space. So
Right. So we're going to go ahead and go over to Larnez. Larnez, you want to go ahead and share yours with us today?
Well, Radiant Rising, happy to be here.
choose
Uh,
from,
Oh,
and he chose wisdom. He chose his knowledge and greatness in physics, and he became an astronaut.
All right.
So
Well, thank you, Christopher. You froze for a little bit, so I started with
I'm
um,
sorry.
Naheem. That's okay. I'm just going to tie in and give you a quote. This is purpose begins with a small step, leading
Yes,
to a much bigger thing, and being purposeful with each step you take. So I think that young man, he took the first step, all right, to create the purpose to having this conversation. So let me go ahead and segue back over to Larnez, and we'll see who she's going to feature today. Again, we are honoring those who have came before us. We're not talking about Black history in February. We're talking about
so
history.
Radiant Rising, happy to be here.
All right.
I think we talking too high frequency because we are breaking up.
You
So,
do know last year when we tried to do this that the energy kind of interrupted of all the shows we do. As soon as we start talking about us, all right, the little minions show up.
mhm,
All right, so let's go
mhm.
ahead, let's get it on.
So grateful to be here. So I sat with this for a little while, and today I want to talk about a book that really shifted how I see leadership in history because we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, James Baldwin, and we should, but we rarely talk about the women who raised them. And that's what Three Mothers is about. This book by Anna Malika Tubbs focuses on their mothers, Alberta King, Lois Little, and Bernice Baldwin. And what she shows is that these women weren't just supportive moms. They were educated. They were politically aware. They were spiritually grounded. They were community leaders. They were intentional, raising their son to be critical thinkers, to question power, to believe in their own worth. And what really stood out to me is how history keeps minimizing Black women. We're taught that greatness just appears, but this book shows that greatness was nurtured. It was built in living rooms. It was built in churches. It was built through conversation, discipline, and love. And Black women have been doing this work forever without recognition. One big takeaway for me is that all three women prioritized education. Another is that they were aware of racism and taught their sons how to navigate it. They also built strong community networks, and despite dealing with poverty, violence, and discrimination, they still poured into their children. That's resilience on another level. Reading this book honestly made me emotional because it made me think about all the women in my own life. It made me think about how many Black women have shaped leaders, families, and movements and never got credit. It also made me rethink what leadership really looks like. Sometimes the most powerful people aren't on the stage. They are at home doing the unseen work. I'd recommend this book to anyone who cares about history, social justice, or understanding how change really happens. The Three Mothers, which is the title of this book, isn't just telling new stories, it's correcting the record. It's reminding us that Black women have always been the architects of this nation. And just to leave you with a quote in remembrance of Jesse Jackson's passing, this is my favorite quote from him. The only thing that makes you drown in water is you stop kicking. And I'm complete.
Uh, the only thing that makes you drown in water if you stop kicking. Again, we have lost another icon, but he's not forgotten. Jesse Jackson. He was there the day that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life came to an end. He established the Rainbow Coalition. I had an honor of meeting him when I was a college student at Central State University, where he had spoke. Um, I've had the honor of having him, a young Jesse Jackson, with John Lewis, Albert Anthony, and Dr. Martin Luther King during the Civil Rights Movement. My mom in our house on 559 Cedarhurst. Didn't get a chance to meet him personally because my mom sent the kids upstairs while they met and talked about a nonviolence movement. We have people that have come into our life that have given so much. But I will say this, no one has sacrificed more for this country than Black women. No one. No one. And I'll repeat that one more time. You every 4 years, who do they turn to in order to get elected? Black women. I'm not discounting any other woman that's on this planet, but when you guys speak, we listen. All right. All men, we will follow the GPS, but how we get there is because you know how to get there. All right. And we've got to be honest with that. So I'm going to segue this over and talk about Mr. Christopher Battles and see who he's going to bring to the show today that we're going to showcase. Curtis. I say Christopher. I don't know. I'm getting my C's together. CB, how you doing?
Happy Sunday to all. I'm so pleased to be here for this special show. So as you can see, I wear glasses, and I've had these glasses ever since I was probably, not this pair, but 6 ongoing, and it's always been a challenge. And along the way, doctors said, well, try hard contacts, that will help you. And I have a condition called keratoconus. So instead of having a round eyeball, I have an eyeball that's more shaped like a football. And so I have a couple different things, and I've always had an astigmatism. But not too long ago, which is one of the things that happens as you get older, I was diagnosed with cataracts. So that led me to find out how did this come about? Is there anybody who has studied cataracts? How did folks come to know how to treat them? And so I did a little research prior to the show, and I've discovered one of our Black medical professionals and inventors that I'm going to share with you today. Patricia Bath was the kind of doctor who didn't just treat patients, she treated the system. She was born in 1942 in New York City. Bath grew up at a time when in medicine, and especially surgical specialties, often tried to keep Black women at the margins. Just to your point, Kevin. She didn't ask for a seat at the table, she built a better table. She earned her undergraduate degree at Hunter College and later her MD from Howard University. Then pushed into ophthalmology, a field where she'd become a historic first more than once. Early in her career, Bath noticed something that would define her life's work. Blindness wasn't distributed equally. In underserved communities, preventable eye disease showed up more often and treatment showed up less. That insight helped drive her lifelong mission, making eye care a basic human right, not a luxury item. Professionally, she broke barriers at major institutions. She became the first female member of the UCLA Julius Stein Eye Institute, and later the first woman to chair an ophthalmology residence program in the US, leading at Drew UCLA in the early 80s. But Bath wasn't only changing who got to practice medicine, she was changing what medicine could do. Her signature innovation was a breakthrough in cataract treatment, the laser facto probe, a device and technique that uses laser technology to improve cataract removal. Cataracts are the leading cause of blindness worldwide, and Bath's work helped push the field toward safer, more precise approaches. In 1988, she received a US patent for this invention, becoming widely recognized as the first Black woman physician to receive a US patent for a medical invention. She also took her mission beyond the operating room. In '76, she co-founded the American Institute for the Prevention of Blindness. This is probably an organization we've heard about in the past, promoting what she called community ophthalmology, a public health approach that brings screening, education, and treatment directly to communities that are too often overlooked. Patricia died in 2019, but her impact is very much alive in the technology that treats cataracts, in the idea that prevention belongs in every neighborhood, and in every young innovator who looks at a barrier and thinks, interesting, I'll redesign that. So this is my person. I found, I'm an entrepreneur as well. I'm always trying to innovate. So I found so many things within this story that really resonated for me, and somebody who I would not normally have found, just in thinking about who are those quiet leaders in our community that have made such a difference for everyone. And that is my share for this morning.
All right. And thank you. And thank all of you. And I can't wait to hear what's yet to come. But to our listeners, I want you to understand. All right. And I want to be honest with you. And some people are not ready to hear the truth. Google 10 of the things that you use every single day that you take for granted and find out who invented them. Pick up your cell phone. Who invented it? Open your refrigerator door. Who invented the refrigeration system? All right. The internet. Who invented that? Blood plasma. Who invented that? Hair care. Who invented that? All right. The list goes on and on. And for those of you that go to Kentucky Derby, let's peel back the layers of it and find out who the real challengers are. There used to be black jockeys. And they stopped it. Why? Because we were winning. All right. When you visit a country, a world, and claim it to be your own, and doesn't discover something, someplace where there's already someone living there, how do you call it a home? But we as people have united and said, let's put ourselves arm to arm, no matter what hue your skin color is. It's because every single person here, we share a conversation, we share our experiences, our education to bring people together for humanity. And those that fear us are the reason why they're burning the books. They cannot stop the conversation we're having right now. I mean, Anne-Marie Maloney will tell you, a little boy that she taught a couple of years ago came on this show. They took the books out of the school, but he said, you can't stop me from reading the books. All right. And so that's what I want to make sure that our children learn, that the people that are dropping our children off at school, no matter what color they are, have them read a book, have them listen to this, have them Google search someone in history. Like I said, the 10 things that you utilize every single day. I can tell you more than 50%, if not higher, has been created by someone that looks like all of us. So Vanessa Vita, let's talk about who you're bringing to the show today.
Grand Rising, Grand Riches, Grand Love, everyone. So today I am going to pay homage to a very spectacular woman by the name, and I'm going to give you her full name, Ursula Heliaria de Celia de la Querida Cruz Alfonso. As you guys all know her as Celia Cruz. And her catchphrase, her thing was azúcar, which is in everything. And I can't have right now. But that's okay because everyone loves sugar. I have something very in common with her. And actually, one of her counterparts was Tito Fuentes, was someone I got to meet. So I was thinking, who am I going to honor? There were so many people. We had a discussion with Patrice in one of our groups, and I was like, oh, I want to do her. But then I'm like, no. And I said, no, Celia Cruz. Because her and I have this finger. I don't know if you guys can see, but my finger doesn't go straight. And if you watch the Netflix movie, in the opening scene, it's her aunt breaking the finger of the grandmother. And they're like, she'll come back. And she came back and she had a finger like this. And Celia Cruz had a finger like this as well. So I love this. And Celia was a pioneer. She was an Afro-American queen of salsa and brought so much joy and brought the Latino music to the States. And she was ostracized from her own country because of her political beliefs and against communism, and did a lot for women and the Latino African American people here in the United States of America. As we just had a huge pinnacle thing with Bad Bunny performing in the Super Bowl, that was huge as well. So our cultures are one. All the Africans came over to the Caribbean, and we have all these different people from all different lands of Africa, but yet that were scattered and then became something else. So I always tell people, we're all Jewish, we're all African. So I just think Celia was such a pioneer for music, for women, for sensuality, for style, for class. And her music is played all the time in so many places. And where did this whole phrase azúcar came from is in Miami, which is like literally 50 miles down the road from me. And it was funny because she was like, the waitress brought her coffee and she's like, ¿Y a dónde está el azúcar? Where's the sugar? And it was a big, like comedic thing, which ended up being one of her major songs, Azúcar. So I just love what she's done for women, for Latinas, for the African music culture and las salseras. So I am just honored to have met Tito because I asked him about her, and that happened by divine. I literally was walking in Ybor City because I'm a Tampa Bay girl, and we heard this music, the drums, boom, 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 and we go, and it was like an underground like place at a cigar club in Tampa, and there's a lot of Cuban and Italian influences in Ybor City. And so we went down and we sat down, and it was like free. And out of nowhere, he's like, well, we got a special night for y'all. And there came Tito and started boom, 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 boom. It was so surreal. And I was just honored to meet one of the musical greats. And then having the opportunity to talk to him and ask him about Celia. Celia was still alive at that time. And I'm just honored to be a Latina and to embrace a lot of different cultures. And I always say, yes, I'm Colombian, but all my cousins from my mom's side are all Cuban. So I'm a cubana colombiana con la salsera. So with that, I leave you. Thank you so much, Kevin, for this amazing platform. And thank you so much, Celia Cruz, for what you have done for us, women of color. And much love. Cheers.
And I thank you for that very powerful message because it sparked in my head. There are two things that are universal in this world that brings people together. And I celebrate the fact of the food channel. No matter where you go in this world, no matter who you meet, what is the biggest celebration of bringing people together? It's all around food. The other thing is our music. You know, when you bring up Bad Bunny, all right, those that want to find fault will always find fault. But those who want to find feeling, they listen to the music, they get the rhythm. So if you close your eyes and you dance a little bit, music and food, all right, brings us all together. Music and food brings us all together. No matter what part of the world you come from, no matter your skin color. I mean, if you have a song that's got a beat, you'll have grandmas all over the world getting up out of their wheelchairs and their canes or whatever and trying to move. All right. And grandpa doing the two steps, no matter what color it is. So, what I'm saying to you people is that even though we are recognizing a history that's trying to be erased, I want you to know that we are all coming together in order to deliver one common message is that we, in order for this world to survive, we have to provide an opportunity for everyone. We have to quit finding reasons that one is better than the other, or one gives more and the other gives less, and enjoy the food at the table and feel the beat. All right. So, PJ, all right, bringing this together, let's see who you brought to the table today. Probably would help if you unmute.
So this was a pivotal week for me. Larnez and I think, got on the same wavelength. And Christopher, you reminded me of something that happened this week. Kevin mentioned it at the beginning of this show. On Valentine's Day night, I walked away from a rollover, not a scratch on me. So I did inventory this week about what's important, who's important. And you guys came up. Thank you again so much for letting me be with you on Sunday morning. Oh, so tough one for me. Sensitive issue. Let's see. Not long after Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus in Montgomery, Alabama, my family moved there. Little white girl from New York City, about 6, 7 years old, knew nothing about prejudice. What I remember is first day of school, my mommy put me on the school bus. And as the bus went through town at the public bus stops, the black maids in uniform, lunch bags in hand, waited. The kids on my bus leaned out the windows and mocked them. The women didn't react. They just stood there, dignified, composed, going to work. But something in me snapped into place that day. Those women waiting for their bus became my heroes. Their quiet strength, their grace under fire. It rearranged me. I went home that afternoon and announced I am never riding that school bus again. Years later, I read something, a quote by Rosa Parks. I would like to be remembered as a person who wanted to be free so other people would also be free. We celebrate famous names during Black History Month, and we should. But sometimes history is carried on the shoulders of women waiting for a bus. The end.
I am going to say this. I work out all the time. My eyes are sweating at this moment. Um, um, we probably on this show should get a sponsor from a Kleenex company and whatever, because it is hard not to feel a certain kind of way when you see injustices right before you and people turn a blind eye. People try to erase the history like it never happened. People trying to tell us that part of our history, that the people that were involved in making that history enjoyed it. You cannot sell across any body of water, open body of water, and not realize that beneath on the bottom of the sea is a relative of someone on the show that have been taken from their homeland, that have been brought here, that have been shackled, that have been mistreated, had their children abused by men, power and affluence, had their men, as example, be beaten, tarred, and feathered on public display in order to weaken the strong. These stories are true. But when you talk about resilience, the people that are true to their heart share these stories. And even though at the moment you witness this terrible tragedy and you don't feel brave enough to do anything about it because you're one in a few, the fact that it made an impression on you and you stand up and allow your voice to be heard gives you power to your voice. I thank you for that share. I thank everyone, and I'm going to do this over and over again. And it is hard to hear the truth, and the fact that we're the living truth. We are history 366 days of a year. Those of you that are doing the math on the calendar, it's 365, but we have given so much more, so we're taking an extra day to ourselves. All right. So Anne Marie, educator, a person that sometimes your voice, your knowledge is silenced because of the position that you hold. But I know you have a story that always needs to be told. So let's see who you bring to the table today.
Grand rising, everyone. There
Please
are
don't
some,
make me cry.
I'm going to go right into it because I think PJ got us. PJ, you got us, and you are a witness, PJ. You are a witness. Amen. Amen. There are some people who don't just influence you. They help you find yourself. They hand you a mirror, and so you remember what you're missing. Today, I honor the playwright Ntozake Shange. Born Pauletta Linda Williams in 1948 in Trenton, New Jersey, she came from a home of music, art, and brilliance. Her parents hosted Dizzy Gillespie, musician Miles Davis, and W.E.B. Du Bois at their dinner table. She grew up surrounded by Black excellence. She changed her name as an act of declaration. She became Ntozake Shange. In 1975, she brought For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough to the stage. She called it a poem because she understood something that classrooms and critics had spent centuries ignoring. Black women's stories do not sit still. We move, we moan, we dance. We require the whole body to tell our stories. 7 women, no names, just colors. And women across the country sat in dark theaters and wept tears of people who had finally been seen. And Tazake Shange wrote, I found God in myself and I loved her, and I loved her fiercely. In these words is an invitation to stop making yourself small in the very spaces God called you to fill. This poem is my offering for the colored girls. A woman with a name nobody's tongue could hold at first. Say it slow. And to Zake Shange. The way you say a prayer, you don't fully understand, but you feel it in your chest. River moves around the rock, never asking the rock for permission. So too, she moves, carrying a courier poem, holding space, what academia ignores. That words have hips and grief has a rhythm. You cannot tell a Black woman's story while sitting down. Lady in brown, lady in yellow, lady in purple, lady in red, lady in green, lady in blue, lady in orange. Speak what they told you to swallow. She said, I found God in myself the way someone says I found my keys after searching the whole house. Relieved, undone, and a little embarrassed it took so long. And I loved her. I loved her fiercely, like first rain after a season of dust, women searching for the divine in every face but their own, in every house but the body they were born into. In 1976, women wept in theaters because someone had finally handed them a mirror that did not lie. In 1996, daughters read her words in dog-eared paperbacks, passed like a secret between college roommates who did not yet have language for what they were carrying. The river still moves. In 2026, a girl in a hoodie finds a clip for colored girls on her phone at 2 a.m. and sits up straighter for the first time in months. The river still moves. Every Black woman who writes without apology, who lets her poetry have hits and a heartbeat. Every woman who has looked in the mirror on a hard morning and said, I am enough, she is watered by that first rain. So walk to the center of the room, plant your feet, and speak in your own rhythm with your body as witness. I read for color girls who considered suicide when the rainbow was enough when I was a college student many, many years ago. I had the pleasure of speaking to director Ricky Howie Lacewell. She's a director in our East Coast, and she brought this play to stage. And it was just mesmerizing to revisit all the messages in that play for colored girls. You are enough. You have always been enough. That's my share.
And you are more than enough. I'm going to tell you, if I was a coffee drinker, you would be the sugar in my coffee this morning. That was so beautiful. And I hope people pick up that book and read it, pick up the book that Larnez has suggested. And I hope people share these individual clips amongst your circle of friends, because every big idea started with a single conversation that led to change. And hopefully we're making a difference, at least today, in someone's heart or is in their mind. And if you see the world differently in something that someone has shared with you today, clears out the fog in front of your face and allows you to be an independent thinker, an independent educator, a change maker. We thank you for allowing us to have that space with you. So, Patrice Richard, I'm going to ask you, who do you bring to the show today?
Thank you so much, Kevin. Good morning, everyone. And first and foremost, I'm grateful just to have this opportunity to speak on someone that has really made an impression in my life. And that someone brings me or takes me back to my childhood innocence. As a child growing up on the west side of Chicago at Gladstone Elementary School, one day I was given the opportunity to sign up for ballet courses. And today I want to honor my ballet teacher, Mrs. Brenda Calloway, but Goodman Calloway. Today I want to honor her. She is no longer with us, but she's with us in spirit. As a child growing up, my mom, she gave me the opportunity to become a ballerina at the age of 6, actually. And I would train with Mrs. Goodman for years throughout grammar school, after school programs. They were set in place for young children to experience different activities like ballet or gymnastics or just all the things, basketball. And Mrs. Goodman, man, I remember her coming there and she had 2 daughters named Charisma and Karita. And I grew to learn who she was as an amazing ballet teacher. She taught us, so when I would get out of school, I would go right into the field house and get trained on how to learn the different technical skills of ballet. And she also was my gymnastics teacher. So she did a little bit of both, different, a little bit of both ballet and gymnastics. And so I just want to honor her today because she was that mother. Not only was she my instructor of color, she was that mother, that like second mother for me, because my mother and her, they had grew their relationship with one another. And so my mom trusted her to take me to different places around town to showcase our talents, right? And so my mom, she would trust us she would trust me to be able to go with Miss Goodman. She took me to Malcolm X College. So not only would I train, I was given the opportunity to train at my grammar school, but I was also given the opportunity to train at Malcolm X College on the west side of Chicago. And that to me was the opportunity of a lifetime. I felt so honored and so privileged to be able to, just be in the presence of this amazing ballet dancer, the instructor. And her daughters, they also took the course too. She would train her daughters and she would also train hundreds of other little girls around town. And so Mrs. Goodman, there would be times when we would take rides to different places. And I remember we were having lunch and her daughter was like, "Mom, I'm thirsty." And this really stuck with me. She was like, "Well, eat your lunch first and then you can have a beverage." And then the daughter said, Charisma said, "Okay, I'm done, Mom." And as we're driving, I'm sitting in the back listening to the conversation. And then she threw us all oranges and said, "Okay, drink up." Right. And so as we start peeling our oranges, it was just like so cool for her to say, "Okay, there's your beverage. Drink up, eat up, drink up." And there was just so many other memories. I know she also danced with Debbie Allen, and she was a part of Juilliard, and not only that, but Alvin Ailey, she was a part of his program as well. And I remember, as an adult growing up, I lost contact. Actually, when I was younger, like around 8, she had passed away from leukemia, and I was devastated. And so they had took I guess the family took the daughters out of the school and we lost contact. Well, as a child growing up, I'm like, where's my ballet teacher? I'm not going to the practices anymore. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start researching where are the girls. And so I did my research, got on WGCI. For 20 years, I searched for these girls because I wanted to know what happened. And so as an adult, years later, I had gotten an assistant at my the restaurant that I was working at, and we were having conversations about different social media network systems. And she mentioned Facebook, and I had never heard of Facebook at the time. And she said, I said, okay. So I ran home and typed in Charisma Calloway, and this picture came up with palm trees, and eyes were looking through the palm trees, just eyes. I couldn't see any facial features or anything. And I looked at those eyes and I said, oh, I think this may be one of the daughters. And so I back messaged her. And I said, hey, I think I may know you. I'm not for sure. But did your mother teach ballet on the west side of Chicago? And she said, yes. And 20 years later, I knew God was going to bring us back together. I just prayed every single year. I would pray for the connection. And so we had connected. Immediately, it was in the wintertime, she and her family, Charisma, found out that she was still in Chicago. Her sister was on the east side of Chicago, and they invited us over, me and my family, for Christmas dinner. And the rest is history. Back in 2023, I went to Atlanta. So she's an architect. And I went to Atlanta, and we dedicated our time to sign up for a ballet class as adults. And we did ballet at the High Museum in Atlanta. My teacher, Ms. Goodman, wow, I love the fact that she showcased us and she wasn't afraid to show the world. And she made us not to be afraid to present ourselves in such brilliance and excellence. And I just honor her on this day because she really taught me to never give up. One of her favorite quotes was, dance with your whole heart. And I recall, the last dance I did at Malcolm X College was as she played the music Black Butterfly by Denise Williams. And that has been my favorite song. And to this day, my daughter, she practices her ballet all throughout, and I'm able to teach her different stance and all the different moves. And when I moved here to Portland, Oregon, I actually signed up for some ballet classes because, although we're adults now, that history and those skills will never leave us. And especially if you're passionate about what you love to do, it really resonates with my spirit, man, that I will always be a ballerina, And I just wanted to speak the Black Butterfly song. It says, morning light, silken dream to flight as the darkness gave way to dawn. You've survived. Now your moment has arrived. Now your dream has finally been born. Black butterfly, sailed across the waters. Tell your sons and daughters what the struggles brings. Black butterfly, set the skies on fire. Rise up even higher so the ageless winds of time can catch your wings. Oh, while you slept, the promise was unkept, but your faith was as sure as the stars. Now you're free, and the world has come to see just how proud and beautiful you are. Black butterfly sailed across the waters. Tell your sons and daughters what the struggles brings. Black butterfly, set the skies on fire. Rise up even higher so the ageless winds of time can catch your wings. Let the current lift your heart and send it soaring. Write the timeless message clear across the sky so that all of can read it and remember when we need it. That a dream conceives and truth can never die, butterfly. Because now that you're free and the world has come to see just how proud and beautiful you are. Black butterflies sail across the waters. Tell your sons and daughters what the struggles brings. Black butterflies set the skies on fire. Rise up higher so the ageless winds of time can catch your wings. Fly, butterfly. Yeah, yes, fly. And so I dedicate this day and I dedicate my life as a part of my life to Miss Goodman because she will always be in my heart and my spirit. And I'm looking forward to meeting her in heaven. And I'm just grateful that I could say she made a great impact in my life. And I love her dearly. Thank you.
Thank you. And this speaks to the truth of the fact you don't have to be on a page of a history book. You don't have to be featured in a documentary or a movie to make history. You just have to be present in someone's life and a dreamer in order for you to become part of a show like this. So now your teacher is part of Black history because you are the future. You are history. So we're getting close to the end of the show. I'm going to turn this over to Gilda. And see who that one person is that has impacted her life. So we're going to turn the page. Gilda James.
Eisenhower, God is powerful. Everyone says such beautiful things. As you know, I'm a woman of little words, and I do love my quotes. So I found a quote that really impressed me. And the quote goes like this: if you're walking down the right path and you're willing to keep walking, eventually you make progress. So what I got out of that is progress comes from staying on the right path. And the quote was by Barack Obama.
All right, our first and probably in our lifetime, our only Black president. You know, it's amazing. Last week they had the opening ceremony of the Olympics, and our vice president was there. There was a chant in the crowd. At the All-Star games, Barack Obama sat courtside, and there was a roar in the crowd. There's always a different sound to someone that's making a difference. And there's always a different sound of someone that's the reason why we're trying to make a difference. Let him roar, President Barack Obama. So Otis, you know, you and I are sitting in the hot seat after listening to so many wonderful shares. Let me, before I ask you, I want to thank our listeners for sitting in. This was an extended version of Motivational Sundays with Kevin and friends. It was needed. So if you still stayed around long enough to hear each and every one share, I would appreciate it. If you left early, you can find this on YouTube, and you can take clips out of it, and you can share it with your students. You can share it with family members. You can share it with people that need some direction, or people that are confused about which way to do, which way to turn. And I always say, do the right thing. You don't have to choose, just do the right thing. You know the truth. So Otis, I will tell you, Anne Marie's got that sweet, sexy voice too. All right, that voiceover queen. I'm just letting you know. All right. So Otis, let's see who you brought to the show.
Well, one of the person that actually stands out for me was, God rest his soul, R.J. Ridinger, who was the president and CEO of Market America. And when you're out there moving product or services, you have to be a part of that product or service. You want to share your experience with others. And the other thing that came out of moving with marketing, taking a lot of the theories that he had doing network marketing. I was probably the number one marketing manager when I was in parking in Cambridge. And another thing that's very, very important that he told us is when there's a problem in your life, you don't focus on the problem. I don't know if you can see this. Is this blacking out? Well, he drew a circle with a dot in the center. And he says, that dot is your problem. And he made the dot bigger and bigger and bigger. And he says, don't focus on the dot. Focus on all the possible solutions around that dot, and you will be successful. So never focus on the problem, focus on the solutions. And that's how I lived my life. I focus on the solutions and try to solve all of my problems.
Wow. So much great information, so many great shares, so much love and happiness in there. I hope that something one of us said fills that empty space in your heart, removes or creates a vacancy for opportunity and hope inside your mind. My grandfather always said, education wasn't designed to make you comfortable. It was designed to make you think. And I hope we all think. So I guess it's my time right now. So I struggle. And I don't say this often. I've talked about my mother and her involvement in the civil rights movement, but I've never shared openly until I released a video paying tribute to a hero. So, I always ask myself, who am I? Because I still question for the individual that I'm going to talk about today. I don't know if I could have done what he has done. So when I look back at my circle, the folks that have impacted my life, none of them were famous. None were household names, and none of them are on any of the pages of the history book. But all the people that have impacted me and molded me are all gone. As a child growing up in the 60s, life did not provide me with opportunities, many opportunities for someone that looks like me. And for those of you that don't understand, when I say look like me, I talk about being a young Black boy living in America. My world yesterday is not much different from my world today. Money, greed, social divide still dominates the headlines every single day. I can't turn on my TV, listen to my radio or whatever without some dysfunctional conversation of what's real and what's perceived to be real showing up. The only difference in today is that I have more of a voice today than I did yesterday. And even now, I have to pick my words carefully, which I don't. It could cost me my freedom, could cost me my job, could prevent me from having opportunities presented to me, or maybe even one day cost me my life. So when I speak for those who spoke before me. I speak for those who will speak long after I'm gone. I speak for those that are not professional risk takers, but I speak for humanity. I want to honor Brother John Lewis, civil rights icon, long-term U.S. congressman. He stood on the edge, on the bridge of the George Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. Most of you guys remember this as the Bloody Sunday, 1965. He was beaten by a state trooper, yet he did not retaliate. He called it good trouble, necessary trouble. I still carry these questions in my heart. How do you endure violence and not defend yourself? What mindset do you find peace where there's chaos? How do you forgive someone that nearly took your life? Where's the line between righteousness, anger, and redemption for love? On July 17th, I remember this like it was yesterday. It was a Saturday, 2020, when I learned the passing of my fraternity brother, John Lewis. I dropped to my knees. Not because he was one of my fraternity brothers, and not for the fact that he was a civil rights leader, but I dropped to my knees because he was a true American hero. So during February, we honor Rosa Parks, Dr. King, Jesse Jackson, and many others, both men and women But Black history is not just for 1 month. It is our American history. And for those of you that will turn back the hands of time to what you call the good old days, I want you to remember those good old days are not the best days for all Americans. Who are you when no one's watching? I ask. Have you ever wrestled with forgiveness? What does good trouble look like in your life today? Are you prepared to speak, even when it may cost you? Who you are is not the world you say you are, not the fear you say you are, but who God calls you to be. Brother John Lewis lives in my heart, and hopefully he lives in yours. Every time we choose justice, dignity, and courage, we honor him. I honor him. This week, I ask myself, who am I when courage requires me to be more? When the moment comes that I may have to choose a stand, I hope that you choose love. I hope you choose to speak like PJ did today. And I hope you find good trouble, necessary trouble. So today I honor American hero, a Black hero, a change maker, someone to sacrifice more than some of us will ever give. Brother John Lewis. So with that said, we had an extended version of our show today. I want to thank those of you that have tuned in and listened. If you like what you've heard, I thank my co-hosts. I thank my motivational family that shows up every single day. If you want to know more about what we do, you can look at the description on our YouTube page or go to RMK Production and Network. Or if you'd like to be a guest or co-host on the show, email us at info@rmkproductions.org. My grandfather always said, when you get to a place in life that you can help someone else out, he said it's your duty to do so. And I'm going to say in unison, we all know what to do. What did he say, guys? Everyone.
Fade the black.
Fade to black.
And make
Fade
sure
to
you
black.
come back.
That's right. Fade to black. Until next time, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and happy American history, and be the change you want your children to be. Thank you, and we're out.
Welcome Motivation Sunday with Kevin and friends.